Hello and welcome to FusionPro VDP Creator, product overview and demonstration. My name is Scott Rodman. I'll be on the call today, helping you understand the variable data solution that is FusionPro. First off, we're going to go over our PTI product overview, which is two product families that we have. We have the MarcomCentral web-to-print marketing asset management tool, which is basically taking the FusionPro or your variable data solution, variable data products, and bringing them to a digital online kind of environment. The FusionPro VDP solutions are such as these different solutions that we have, the different personalization technologies, such as FusionPro VDP Creator. This is a variable design tool with desktop composition, perfect for offline composition to do your postcards, business cards, brochures, anything that needs to be done with variable data on an offline type of situation. The FusionPro Producer is a plug-and-play variable data composition server. This allows you to, in essence, do the same thing as FusionPro VDP Creator, but initiate it on a server in-house, basically giving you more plug-and-play accessibility and more power with your composition time. FusionPro Producer API is an application programming interface. This allows you open-ended VDP composition with a server. It basically allows you to connect to our servers, but allow that API to programmatically program around the interface that you're trying to do. If you're trying to create automation or your own kind of skin for your own environment for variable data. FusionPro Links is our Perl or personal URL creation, landing page hosting, and campaign tracking system. FusionPro Expressions is the image personalization tool. This is kind of one of our more unique tools that we have. This is where you can take clouds in the sky or spots in a cow and spell out that information to look as though it basically looks and feels like the environment that it's in. And these are both in desktop and server editions. So the VDP stats, we have nearly 20,000 installations worldwide, and that's a very conservative number. We're used by competitors' web-to-print products for their basic designs and functionality that's uploaded to their web-to-print solution. When we first released this, probably 11, 12 years ago, we priced it very heavily at $4,200. Since then, we've obviously dropped the price to make it more competitive and get it out to our consumers in a more cost-efficient manner. Current version is 9, which we released back in 2013 of March, and we have a strong user community of 1,500 members. These are people that interact with our forums and our customer support that, on a regular basis that, basically interacts with each other. So the FusionPro VDP product summary. So these are some of the functions that you would want to find and you should, know about before purchasing and you would expect to be there. Mail merge capabilities, your addressing, merging paragraphs of text, variable text, and a great example is pearls, could be anything else. Variable imagery, if you have different images and you want them to switch based on a trigger, charts, tables, text formatting, barcoding, like intelligent mail barcode, postnet barcode, or QR codes. And we'll go through all those in a demonstration. Text on a curve and drop shadow. So the workflow of FusionPro VDP is, you can see here on the left that we have two different types of buckets. We have InDesign and Cork, which is our design products or software. And then we have Illustrator, Photoshop, PageMaker, Office, and Publisher, and Word, and much, much more. Basically, we have two different buckets that allow you to take this information and convert it to a PDF. Our software is actually housed in Adobe Acrobat, professional, standard, whatever. The reason for that is we allow our customers to start from these different origination points. If someone gives you an InDesign document, you can start from that. Or if someone gives you a publisher, you can convert it to Adobe Acrobat or to a PDF. We work with both Mac and PC. And basically, once you convert that, you will assign a data file, build your rules, and then choose an output. And then that output can either go offline or go to your digital press, or it can be uploaded to one of the other solutions that we have, MarcomCentral, FusionPro Producer, or API. Another really good example when we're talking about the FusionPro software is kind of hinting or spending some time showing the producer. In essence, understanding that there is FusionPro VDP Creator, which will work just great for certain runs, but the producer allows you to have more power and more capability when you're dealing with multiple people trying to send jobs at the same time or work on them at the same time to get them composed, and gives you more capability in terms of the composition power that you have. For example, it provides a turnkey out-of-the-box server solution for VDP composition. You can compose large or complex VDP jobs, and that's more efficiently than the Creator, FusionPro Creator. And we have a unique component that's simply recomposing with new data files. So if you already have a job that's done and you want to use it over and over again, you can just click on the recomposing feature, and that will allow you to recompose by just uploading a data file. And then you freeze up your systems, because basically what you're doing is you're offloading this from your desktop, which FusionPro VDP Creator has to use your desktop for the composition task, but Producer offloads that composition to a server you have in-house. And we can see the nice illustration here with the different people with job A, B, and C. And typically you can have up to 3 people composing at a time, but this shows the illustration that if job A is composing, job B is pending, and job C is pending. Once job A is done, it'll be sent utilizing the optimized VDP output stream, and then we'll hit one of the specified folder locations that you want, server, RIP, or network, and then you can have a setup of an email notification telling you when that job has been submitted to these folders, which typically then you have those folders connected to your digital press, and you can go straight to your digital press. We have 2 different types of rules in our software, simple through advanced. Simple is rules that we have built out with complete construction, so you just have to interact with the data file of what you want it to be. And then we have advanced. These are more out-of-the-box, more detail-oriented, where you can use us or go through the user guide and build things that are more complex. I do stress that most, or like 99% of our rules or the jobs you're going to do should be able to be done through the rules that we have completely built out. Obviously, there's just some rules that are going to be needed to have a little bit more attention. But the reason why we built this in is that so we can pretty much do anything creative that you as a customer wants to do. FusionPro Imposer, this is a multi-up design tool, simplex and duplex, item rotation, Z-sort stacking, and bleed and spacing control. So it allows you to deal with your imposition so that you can couple this with the FusionPro designs that you've done and then send that whole thing to the digital press. Okay, so let's get into our demonstration. I'm going to exit from here, and we're going to go into InDesign. So basically, I'm going to start from an InDesign project. And what I'm going to do is I am going to basically choose what I want to be variable and what I want to be static. So the basic understanding within utilizing InDesign is that starting from an Adobe Acrobat PDF, and I'll try to show the difference there. But the main thing is that whenever you create an InDesign document, you have all of your areas, your text base, your graphic base, all of your different areas basically positioned out. So what happens is under the Window tab, we have the ability to have an extension of FusionPro installed so that whenever we select Export As for this text frame, it's going to be bringing in the text frame location as well as the font formatting and justification of the font into the FusionPro project as a variable frame. So I can go through here and I can choose everything that I want to be variable. We'll do Patrick Bet the Farm. So anything that I do not choose to be variable will be placed in the base layer of the PDF. If I want to, I can choose any image, any anything can become a variable graphic or whatever frame. Once I'm done going through and choosing what I want to be variable, there's an option here for export the document. Let's go with, there we go. Okay, and I'm going to call this Orange Tuesday or Orange Day, whatever that is. And what we're going to do is we're going to save this. Now, we have a save as type as a PDF. We have a bleed that we can specify, obviously 9 point or 1/8 of an inch, and we can click Save. Upon doing this, it's going to take all of the frames that we have, and it's going to bring them into FusionPro. Now, again, I can't stress this enough, that if we wanted to, we could just start with a PDF and draw our text frames, and I'll show that as well. Now, right now, we have our FusionPro text, and our FusionPro text different areas is here as well. And I'm going to do graphic frames as well, so just wait and get excited. But if you wanted to, we have a toolbar that's installed above here, and in that toolbar, you have draw a text frame, draw a graphic frame, do charts, and text on a curve. So if we wanted to, we could come in here and we could draw graphic frames to allow ourselves to bring those in and draw. So if we didn't have any of these FusionPro text frames, we didn't start from InDesign, we could draw our own FusionPro text frames in here. Now, we also, if you select this orange F icon, will bring up what's called the Quick Steps palette. This allows you to go through the steps, 1 through 7, to basically go through this in a fashion that allows you to make sure you're touching every option. The first one, import data file. This is where we can specify a data source definition, create a new flat file, or import a data source from another document. We're going to be doing this first option here. This last option is a very good option to note about because it allows you to bring in any previous jobs you've worked on, basically kind of like a bookmark. If you've created rules or a previous data file, you can bring in everything so that you're not having to redo everything. And if you have jobs that are pretty much similar, maybe you're just changing the base art, you can bring everything in to allow yourself to not have to create that from scratch. So specify a data source definition. We're going to be doing flat file delimited today, which is a CSV or tab delimited. I'm just going to be grabbing a sample data file. I'm using a CSV, which is a comma-separated value file. And I'm going to click Next. And I'm going to do a field delimiters, comma. I could do other ones, but obviously I already said we're doing CSV. And we're going to do first rows contain our field names. We can do tag text and fixed length fields. These are options as well. And so now we have that data file linked to this project. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open this data file because it's good to understand what we're looking at. So basically, I have an Excel data file that has the first row field names. Let's make this a little bigger. As first name, last name, address 1, address 2, city, state, all the way to IMB barcode. And the general idea is that this first row is going to be brought in to cite everything in these rows. So what I can do is we'll start off with our mail merge, which is this information here. And understand as well that we can go in and preview this template. That's step 5, going a little out of order. But we can preview this document, and you can see that automatically we have everything in this document, or these frames. All of the texts are there. So if I double-click on this, this will open up the text frame editor and allow us to edit the text. And editing the text opens what's called the variable text editor. And so what this does for us is this allows us to see the text that's inside. We can type in our own text. We can do whatever we want. So what I'm going to do, though, is I'm going to go to this variable drop-down here, and I'm going to see all of those variables, those first row field names that I had inside of my data file. And so by selecting these, I can insert them and plug these in for the variables. I'm going to do just a couple more. Perfect. Okay. Now, you can see I have address 1 and address 2. If I click OK, this is going to bring this information in, but I have a space where address 2 is. I'm able to go back into my variable text editor, and obviously if you know this is going to happen beforehand, you won't have to see it, but we have an option for paragraph. Paragraph allows us to suppress if containing empty variables. You also have indentation, kerning, and hyphenation options, space above and below, leading, and tracking options as well. So you can see I got rid of that space. Also, we have all of the fonts in here that you're going to want to use, loaded from whatever computer you're using, and color palettes that is in here as well. There's also an option to load in colors individually that are maybe CMYK or RGB that you're trying to do. But anytime you go from Quark or InDesign, they load the color palette that you worked with within there. Okay, now, in this text frame editor, we can change the location of the font. We can pad the font if we want. We can also put a border color on. And we have this new feature where we can do a corner radius, and we can make this a smooth line versus the square. You can also add background color as well, and obviously make it opaque in the sense of suppressing some of the some of the percentage of the color. Okay. Now, there's also X and Y location and width and height location that you can change in here. You can also just grab and move these frames independently as well. And grab these corners here and just move these frames to whatever you want them to be as well. So you have a lot of options in terms of what you're trying to do there. So now that we've gone through some basic, dropping in information, we can go in here and just drop in the first name to wherever we want it. So we can drop that in here. We can go to our first page, click on this, and get rid of Patrick and drop in the first name as well. So we can see that this is starting to become completely variable where all of the names are starting to click into where we want them to be placed. So the second thing that you can do is we have an option where you can bring in resources. So bringing in resources is where we can add multiple or individual images, text files, or tagged files. I'm going to add multiple just because I don't want to take time to do it. So we will select the files. We will find where our images are at, and we will grab all of those images in one shot. We have JPEG, GIF, PNG, TIFF, EPS, and PDF that we can bring in. They will show you that all status is okay and that they're linked appropriately. If you need to go in and edit them individually, you can. Okay, so we'll click OK. Now, the other thing that you're able to do is we're able to create rules. So when we go into this, click, step 3, we're able to click this, and we have an area called rules. Now, since we don't have any rules in here, I'm going to create a new rule. Now, this is our repository of our simple rules. We have text, graphic, and callback. Text primarily deals with barcodes, conversions of text, and sequential numbering rules, and basically like intelligent mail barcode. So the first one we'll do is our sequential numbering rule. This is a classic and a goodie. we can bring in starting number of 1,000 or 1, and we can pad it with the number of zeros that we want. So we'll click OK. So that brings in sequential numbering. We'll click New again, and I want to show the drag and drop rule. This is a rule that allows you to do what's called comparisons. Basically, we're able to bring in the field of our choice, hypothetically, credit rating, and we can choose what we want to compare this against. So we can do, if the text value of credit rating is less than 450, then we'll return 5.75. If the credit rating is less than 650, we'll return 4.50, and if nothing else, we'll return 3.25. So basically, this is a drag and drop or an if-then comparison WYSIWYG. What you see is what you get that allows you to drag information in. It can be literal text, text resources, or graphic images. Okay. And as we've shown before, we can convert any of these to JavaScript so you can play around in there. So again, don't let this don't let this get over your head. It's just an option if it's something that you want. But remember, we did that as a simple rule. Okay. Another rule that we have that's a very popular rule is called the switch rule. This is an easy graphic rule that allows you to choose a trigger. And so for us, I'm going to choose the trigger gender. And because of the fact that I have M for male and F for female in my data file for all the records. And so by doing this, it's going to bring in the M for male and F for female. You can see that here and below here. Now, what it says is if the gender is equal to F, I want to return an image. So remember, we brought in images earlier, and so we can now start playing with them. We will do smiling lady. If the gender is equal to M, I will bring in a man on the phone. And if I don't have an image or there's not a record in the data file, return a default value. And so we'll call this rule gender. And we'll click OK. So let's plug some of these rules in. We'll do the rule gender first. So I have a FusionPro graphic frame here, and I'm going to click in that rule. And if I preview this, and you don't have to unpreview and preview, I'm just doing it. We can see that this image is now in this area. So if I cycle between these, it'll change between the images for what the gender is equal to. So F for female is smiling lady. There's nothing, so it's just an exterior lounge, and we have a man on the phone. The other one is I can go back into here, and I can plug in my sequential numbering rule. So all text-based rules are in the variable dropdown. We'll insert that, and we'll do 2 spaces. And just for grins, I am going to add my IMB barcode just so that you can see that IMB barcodes are accepted in this area. And I did. See if it did it correctly. Perfect. So we have our sequential numbering, we have our IMB barcode, and we're starting to get everything kind of built out now. Okay, and let's plug or place this percentage in here. Change this background color, and I'm going to plug in rule text. And so now this changes 4.5 or 4.50%, 4.5%, whatever, and it'll change dynamically based on the credit rating score that we have. Perfect. Okay. One of the last rules that I always like to show is what's called the QR barcode rule. You've probably heard of it. We have a contact version of it for MeCode and vCard. But the QR barcode allows us the capability to drop in information from our data file. So we could do a Perl, for example, or a URL that we've encoded. You can also drop in a rule here. So if you built a if-then rule, like if it's male then equal this URL, if it's female equal this URL, you can drop that rule in here. You can see right here we have rule text. So if I wanted to, I could drop the rule in here to return this percentage. We'll do Perl though. And I will click OK. And I'll plug it in here. And there you go. We have a QR barcode now in this area. Also, you can see that we can change the alignment, the scaling of these, the shape. It could be a circle or a square. And we can also do feathering effects as well. So basically, we've been building out this to have all of the variables that we want. Going into a little bit more, we can manage our data files within here as well. You can do VDP mail cleansing with our partner Tech Mailing as part of a plugin. You can manage pages, turn them off and on. We have advanced options such as colors. This is where you can edit the CMYK or RGB and do spot color and overprint. You can also load new fonts and deal with hyphenation exceptions. We also have user guides, tutorials, and videos that you can go through. And you can visit the user forum where people ask questions and interact in our forums. So at this point, what you're going to want to do is we're going to want to go to compose the template. And by composing the template, we have these different tabs here that allow you to interact with the composition settings. So the first one is where do you want the output file to go, and technically, what do you want it to be named? I'm going to keep mine sample data output. We have different output formats: PostScript, PDF, PDF-ET, VPS for Creo, VIP, JLYT or JLite, and then PPML for Fiery. So we'll keep ours PDF so we can view it online. And then below here is how you enact the producer with your direct setting. This is where I can connect to a server that I have in-house, and my composition can be more robust and fast. The input, this is where I can do all records or from a specific record set. The imposition, this is where we can go and find an imposition file and plug this in. So taking a break here, I'm going to go and show you what imposition is. FusionPro Imposer is our imposition tool that allows you to look at the different components. So we'll do inches actually. So we have open, save as, export, and load. I'm going to click load. I'm going to click load, and what we're going to do is we're going to find the project that we're working on. So here it is. It should be Orange Day. We'll click Open. And this sizes it down, shows us that we have a height of 8.75, or 5.5 for height, and the bleed, and 2 pages per 1 record. We can see that the layout does not fit, so all we have to do is go to Press Sheet and change this. There we go. Change this to the sheet size that we want to use. We can also add crop marks if we want to, work from the image shift, put in a slug for descriptive purposes for our prepress guide. And we can do custom if we want to as well. So if we want to type in whatever we want, we can do that as well. The last option is layout. This is where we have simplex, duplex perfected, tumble duplex, saddle stitch, single gate side by side, single gate head to head, perfect bound booklet. So with this, we're going to do duplex perfected. We're going to state that we want a stack count of infinite stack, meaning we want this workhorse to do, or the imposition tool to do the work for us. So it automatically counts the amount of records in our data file and stacks it for us. We're going to do vertical and horizontal and add 2 up for this. And since this doesn't fit this way, we can rotate it using the rotation tool and get everything to fit on the page. So now we have a 4 up. We can also, get rid of spacing, discard space and bleed if we want to, or just zero out the spacing below here and have just bleed showing. And again, if we right-click in here, it allows us to discard the bleed as well. So we can also use an advanced feature and change the horizontal or the vertical from top to bottom, bottom to top, and get to change where our 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 are located. So basically, we would just save this, and this is what we're placing in this area, that FTI or FusionPro Imposer tool. We can also do slip sheets as well, manage our graphics, never, downsample, always use a lower resolution, or just for on-screen preview, use a low resolution, which is why this image is looking pixelated. JDF capability, if you have it in-house, document information, who worked on it, printing options, do not allows, and then advanced information such as changing your hyphenation rule set to Finnish or German, and aborting errors if it's a minor, medium, or severe. And minor could be that the page sizes differ from page 1 to 2, or a font didn't load. So basically, we will compose this. So I'll compose it once, and I have some errors here. And so I'll compose this once, and we'll view the PDF. And so we can see here Martin bet the farm on Jensen Bank. And let's rotate this for this. And you can see now that we have our different stacks. Stack 1 at the bottom left, stack 2, top left, and then so on and so forth. Let's get to an area that has some more images for us. There we go. We've got some different images here, different percentages. So that's an option to show just, if you want to compose using FusionPro VDP Creator. It uses the desktop to compose. It can be a very efficient tool. The other way to compose is enacting the server, and we save and we compose. It's going to collect everything here, and it's going to send this job to an online composition area where it shows the percentage of complete, and then it shows everything that you're working with. The start time, there it goes. So it's completed. And the reason why this is a little bit more unique in the sense that we can select this job and recompose it, upload a new data file that we want to grab, choose a different output format, and never have to touch the creative. As well as that these jobs are now logged for you, so you can go and grab them anytime. And you're composing this with an online or on-site server. Okay, so that is pretty much FusionPro VDP Creator in the sense of doing graphics, QR codes, doing different things. You can also use FusionPro expressions inside of this, where if we wanted to write something on this cow, we could do that as well. But once you've pretty much gone through these steps, you're able to obviously get the job that we had and send it off. So with this, you can go to pti.com, and there is an option here. Let's see if I can get to it. right here for where you can learn more about FusionPro VDP Creator. We have webinars that you can see Wednesday, August the 14th, August the 22nd. You can learn more about this tool. Oh, it just updated on me, Thursday, December 19th. You can learn more about this tool, the product sheets, featurettes, and then also, if you go to Services and Support, there is a section here called FusionPro VDP Creator Tutorials. And these allow you to see video tutorials on how the software works, just so you can go back through and get a better understanding on your own time. So again, that is under Services and Support VDP Tutorials. As well as you can go to the Download Center. You cannot download our software, but you can see the system requirements and the release notes of what's new for each version that we've had come out. And you can make sure that it is working in the sense that it is the right version for the system that you have set up, so that you can make sure that you're appropriate for the standard of Acrobat that you have or InDesign that you have. We should be covered with InDesign because we go from CS3 to CS6, but these things are updating every day, and we try to stay on top of that as much as we possibly can. So with that, any other questions, please feel free to contact us and email us with those questions. If you need demonstrations, please contact us as well. You can click Contact Us, and you can contact a sales rep or request a demo. With that, thank you very much. Have a great day, and please let us